Now we go to Her Excellency Yvonne Aki-Sawyerr. She's the mayor of Freetown in Sierra Leone, the capital. Welcome to our panel, ma'am. As the mayor of the largest city in Sierra Leone, you have a tremendous responsibility to your citizens, yet the national government's policies, politics, and budget significantly impact what you can accomplish. How have you been able to innovate at a local level to ensure that democracy delivers for your constituents during the pandemic? And how can democratically elected leaders, regardless of political affiliation, ideology, and level of government, work together more efficiently?
Thank you so much. And I'd like to also thank President Biden for giving me this opportunity to be part of this discourse today. Indeed, as an elected official, mayor of the capital city, we clearly have a role to play and had a role to play ongoing within the pandemic. And these concepts, these tenets of democracy, particularly citizen participation, has really been a key part of how we've done this. The pandemic happened within our ongoing context of rolling out a program called #TransformFreetown, a community-centered, inclusive approach to urban development. So we were already engaging residents, had met with 15,000 as we built and determined what our targets would be over these 3 years. And that accountability, that engagement served us well in terms of coming in and engaging residents with the specifics of what was going to be our contribution to the pandemic. Key to that was, the fact that we have 35% of our residents in informal settlements, and needing to understand in the absence of water, the space for social distancing, what could effectively be done. And we came up with some great initiatives which have really made an impact. But when we talk about democracy, we don't do it in a vacuum. And that question of the social contract, that trust, which is so critical for how residents will respond, how citizens will respond in a time of crisis, is actually already planted in times prior to the crisis. So in our context, as we talk about democracy being government of the people for the people, key to that is the people choosing their government. And one of the sort of dilemmas we've had, one of the challenges, is that we've been in a situation where in 2019, 9 elected parliamentarians were removed from parliament by a court order and replaced not by the vote of the people, but by another court order. Similarly, in this current time, we're also facing a situation which is challenging that trust, where the Auditor General, very key for fighting corruption, has been unconstitutionally suspended indefinitely. So you have this sort of, there's a need to work together, central governments, local governments. There's a need to ensure that democratic tenets are held strongly and that residents have the confidence and the trust, because if there's one thing that's key to fighting a pandemic, as we've seen all around the world, it's having that trust of residents. So when trust is eroded or challenged, it actually means that in a time of crisis, building that collective engagement, that belief, whether it's for taking the vaccines, accepting the truth of the virus, it makes it harder. So as President Biden said earlier in his opening remarks, democracy is not a state, it's an act. And our continued actions need to be leading us towards the direction of strengthening democracies. One last thing I'd just say is that we've seen on our continent a reversal for the first time in 15 years of good governance. This is not just about Sierra Leone, but it's about Africa. And in a country where 40% of our people are living below the poverty line, democracy is not an option, it's a must. So we use the pandemic as a lever to see what can be done, how democracy serves us. But we mustn't forget that democracy and the acts of democracy and the acts against democracy will take us either one way or the other. We must continue to invest in actions that strengthen democracy at all levels of government.
Mayor Aki-Sawyerr, thank you. Mayor of Freetown in Sierra Leone, with an emphasis on the fight against corruption, of course, strengthening the rule of law and checks on government, trust as a main theme in your participation. Thank you so much.